Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Now, here's your host, WCRN's Hank Stoltz.
Good afternoon, I'm Hank Stoltz, and this is QCC's A Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Today we're going to be talking some business logistics, and to help us do that we have Gene McLean, the Professor of Business Administration, Entrepreneurship here at QCC. Also joining us, John Holton, instructor.
Well, what I'm doing is actually teaching a course in the evenings for students in business logistics. And really, we're looking at supply chain management, the functional areas within logistics, things like transportation, distribution, warehousing, inventory management. Start off something very simple like a bottle of water. How does a bottle of water get from the point of manufacture to the point of consumption? And we sort of build from there.
All right, so the way that things actually run, I'll bite. How does a bottle of water get from where it's manufactured to the grocery store, or I guess eventually to me?
Right. It's a little more complex than I think a lot of people realize. It goes through several steps from originally getting bottled at the source through various layers of channels of distribution, ultimately to a corner store or maybe a vending machine, and ultimately to the point of consumption. Right. So there's several steps involved, and there's several sort of functional areas. Each with expertise in how to move product from point A to point B.
Well, I've always been fascinated. I've seen these studies where they talk about whether it's the ice storm or whether it's the apocalypse, the coming financial collapse, or whatever some people are concerned about. That the grocery stores really within a few days. I mean, you could run out of food. I suppose this is sort of the same kind of thing. The way in which truckers across the nation, etc., are getting this sort of pipeline of goods.
There's a delicate balance between sort of everything going exactly as planned, and one disruptive thing can really throw a pretty big monkey wrench into the process. Absolutely.
Gene, it's probably interesting that we don't have that many monkey wrenches. I mean, by and large, things seem to run pretty smooth. When you're putting together some of these courses, when you're talking to students, or even an overview of what business logistics is, are you more concerned sort of with the monkey wrench, if you will, and talking about some of the things that can go wrong, or just telling the students about that's a chain of command in that supply line?
Well, I think that we're interested in having students understand the entire supply chain and the management aspects of it. But some students will be more interested in warehousing, some will be more interested in supply chain management, some will be more interested in transportation, some in inventory management and control. So we're developing an entire certificate that will encompass all of those areas. John works with Staples. He's got an advanced degree in supply chain management from where? Cornell?
Penn State.
Penn State. Your undergrad is Cornell.
That's right.
And
yes.
So he knows all about it, but we will be hiring other people too to help expand the offerings beyond just the basics of supply chain.
Gene, from your perspective, having someone like John on the team who has that real life experience, what does that bring to the students?
It's invaluable what that brings, and I think that community colleges do an outstanding job of bringing working people to the classroom. They bring, as John does, an Ivy League education, and at the same time a lifetime of experience doing exactly what he's teaching. So it's up to the minute expertise that our students can take advantage of.
John, so now I'm interested in this part, as Gene brings up, sort of the Ivy League school with Cornell. What got you interested?
So I went to undergraduate school studying hotel hospitality management, and started my career in purchasing, working for a large hotel company, and got more and more interested in really that supply chain management aspect of purchasing. So about 4 or 5 years after being in industry, I decided to go back to graduate school. Went to Penn State, studied business logistics, and then really that's sort of what sort of cemented my the rest of my career in this field, and spent some time working for consumer products companies, managing Lever soap and the distribution of that. And then I went to go work for a large retailer, And then currently I'm at Staples, and at Staples I've managed sort of inbound transportation, outbound transportation, and currently I'm back in the procurement space, managing a procurement operation for
All right,
Staples.
so the layman like myself, right? I mean, the guy at Staples calls up and says, "Hey, I need more of X," and it gets delivered. It sounds as if everything is very compartmentalized. So one person is kind of handling where it's coming from, somebody else is handling the trucking. So somebody's handling the warehouse, somebody else is handling the trucking, somebody else may be handling another aspect. Break it down even a little bit more for me. So all the way from whether it's Lever Soap or what's happening at Staples, how that really gets there. And
there's definitely very distinct functional areas within each supply chain, and then really what logistics is, right? Logistics is sort of the study of the flow of goods sort of within an organization, right? And then you expand on that, you call that supply chain management. Now where you're looking at across the entire, multiple organizations and how goods go from, again, raw materials all the way to, ultimate consumption. And we touch a little bit on supply chain management because that's the sort of the all-encompassing raw material to ultimate, consumption.
Boy, fascinating. Gene, you mentioned certificate program, and is this still being developed, or right now somebody can come to QCC?
It's still being developed.
Okay.
We do offer the first course in it, which is Introduction to Business Logistics, and John teaches that in the evenings. We certainly are looking to, for any students who'd like to take it this spring can take it. But under construction is the rest of the certificate, which includes things like manufacturing safety, transportation management, distribution center and warehouse management, and purchasing management. So a student who finishes this certificate will be well-grounded in that information, and can take that certificate and apply every course they have taken to our business associate's degree.
Let's straight ahead, let's get more into that, into the importance of this program, how it fits into the other things which are being offered, the other classes which are being offered, business classes here at QCC. And we'll do that straight ahead. We're speaking with Gene McLean, the Professor of Business Administration, Entrepreneurship here at QCC. Also, John Holton is with us, instructor, talking about business logistics on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. QCC's Face the Region continues on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Our conversation with Gene McLean, Professor of Business Administration, Entrepreneurship. Also John Holton, who is instructor, and we've been talking with him about the course which you are teaching, this evening course about business logistics. Tell us a little bit about this course.
So really what we do is we start off pretty simple, just laying out those functional areas that we've sort of discussed a little bit already. And just digging a little bit into each one. So transportation management, for example, we're looking at the different modes of transportation and how goods move through a supply chain, the different types of even truck transportation, for example. And then we'll look at inventory management and the way inventory is managed in a retail organization or a manufacturing organization, things like raw materials and maintenance, repair, and operating supplies and work in process and all those types of things. And we talk a little bit about material handling within a distribution center and how goods flow within the four walls of a distribution center, and the information technology that's involved to do all of these things. The real fun thing for me, though, is really this sort of a semester-long supply chain project, and the presentations of those are actually next Tuesday night, where students, they spend an all semester sort of studying a specific supply chain. So, for example, one of the young ladies in my class is in the insurance industry. So she's doing her supply chain project on the logistics involved in windshield replacement, which quite frankly I know nothing about.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to learning from one of my students about this particular aspect of which I've never had any exposure to. I think that's the real fun. That's the real fun for me in doing this.
How much does that matter? I mean, how much is it specific? In other words, you have all of these basic principles. If you got thrown in with your experience, if you got thrown in and you had to make sure that the windshield got from point A to point B and all of the logistics that went with it, you could do that because it's sort of, widgets, or it's very specific to certain products.
I would say the answer is probably both, right? As you get more and more specialized in certain products, and windshields are probably right on the cusp there, right? Because obviously a windshield there's some fragility involved, right? You're not going to just throw that in the back of a truck and move it down the road, right? So there's probably a little bit of specialized transportation involved there. So it's probably some of both. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the retailing sector, right? So the normal retail goods, for example, pretty straightforward. You know, you throw me any retail environment, I can probably figure it out pretty quickly. But some of these other sort of more specialized industries, like I used to work for Sears, and we had a whole separate distribution network just for tires, right? Because tires it's a unique type of commodity that almost dictates a unique supply chain. So it depends.
Yeah, Gina, wanted to go back to also the importance of the program and how you were talking about how it relates. Then take this class for example with John, but then it can relate and lead you into some of the other business classes.
That's correct. So we have probably 5 or 6 classes in logistics in the certificate, so students get an excellent grounding in that. But they also take English, statistics, business writing, computer basics. So and then all of the classes that they take, and there are 9 classes in the logistics program. Then another 11 classes that would be needed to complete our associate's degree in the business career program.
We often hear also about, lifelong learners here, and I don't, in your class, where you're talking about somebody who isn't, just 19 coming out of high school, but here's somebody who's already got this practical business experience. So really a wide range of people, and many who might want then to go on to another school, to a 4-year school and get a degree?
That's correct, although we have 3 degree programs here. We have business admin career, business admin transfer, and business admin administrative professional. So this particular certificate, and all of our certificates, and we have 7 of them, flow into a career program, not into the transfer program. The career program assumes you're going to get an associate's degree and go to work. The transfer program assumes you're going to get an associate's degree and transfer on for a bachelor's degree.
Once the certificate program, let me use that as an example, is up and running, or even at the 2-year degree here at QCC, where then am I going? Where am I sort of heading? What are the job opportunities, particularly here in central Massachusetts?
Well, there's many job opportunities in logistics in Massachusetts. And when you look at a company like Amazon, or Job.com, that's all they do is get things from point A to point B.
Exactly right.
And look at this week. Everyone is clicking on Amazon and having Christmas and holiday gifts shipped to their homes.
And they get it to me the next day.
And isn't that amazing?
And we spend some time in the course talking about e-commerce, and that's a game changer in the field of logistics and supply chain management. And one of the things I like to do is sort of have the students bring in a current topic or a current article every week, and we'll talk about that. And almost every week we're talking about, in some way, shape, or form, e-commerce and how that's sort of changing the face of supply chain.
And the technology must be, I'm reading now where I think, is it New York City that has the pilot program? It's not just the next day that I find is amazing, matter of hours, right? Yeah, same day.
Basically a taxi cab for free.
Sure.
That's what it is.
And that's incredible to me.
Yep.
The technology, though, must have, even in your time in the industry, must have changed so much. Now they're going to deliver with drones at some point.
Yeah, I think that's getting a lot of FaceTime. I think that's probably a little ways off, quite honestly. But self-guided vehicles, that's probably not as far off. Honestly, that's getting pretty close. They're already testing some trucks that drive themselves places, believe it or not. And then we watched a video just last week in class about these robots within distribution centers that are actually, picking merchandise with very little help from human hands.
Wow, so the technology is amazing. I don't know how many people I happen to walk my dog around Grafton Hill, but the CSX, the trains, the number of trucks that are coming in, the way that they are obviously coming through on some very precise schedules is just amazing. Just walking by to be able to see.
So, one other thing I wanted to make sure we pointed out is within the field of logistics, if you want to study this at the community college level in Massachusetts, this is the only school you can go to right now. This is the only school in the state of Massachusetts that has a program in this, which we're particularly proud of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's pick up on that then straight ahead. Let's talk about the fact that QCC then is the school, the community college to come to for business logistics in Massachusetts. We'll talk about that straight ahead right here on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. This is QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. We've been talking about business logistics, really fascinating today. And aiding us in that conversation has been John Holton, an instructor here at QCC, and also Gene McLean, the professor of business administration and entrepreneurship. And wanted to, and John, why don't I pick up with you? An adjunct professor here. I mean, it's really leaning on your experience at Staples, but being able to bring that to these accredited courses that are here at QCC. Tell us a little bit. You've told us about the course that you're teaching right now. And Gene told us a little bit about all of the job opportunities that are here. Why don't we put that together so somebody who is taking this course can go on to a very good paying career right here in Massachusetts?
Yeah, that's right. There's lots of good opportunities right here in Massachusetts, whether it's sort of working for a manufacturing company or one of the many sort of retailers, one of the that I work for. There's good paying jobs in really all of those functional areas. So you talk about transportation, you can be a transportation manager for one of these medium-sized manufacturers right here in the Metro West area, or there's a fair amount of distribution center operations as well. Obviously managing inventory either for a retailer or a manufacturing environment. I've seen it. In fact, just last week we got an email from a local startup company in Westboro looking for a logistics specialist, reaching out to QCC to find someone that can fulfill this job. And of course, I forwarded it on to my students.
Sure, yeah, no, that's great. So I mean, there's going to be a real pipeline then, it would seem, from right here at
That's
QCC.
the hope. That's the hope. That's the hope. That's
Boy,
what we're trying to build.
That's great. All right, so some great opportunities, great salaries in chain management. And Gene, maybe talk a little bit more about some of these classes and the offerings and the way that it all goes together and ties in.
Sure. Well, we start with a one-year certificate in logistics, which we will be developing over the next year. But as I said, you can certainly take many of those courses already. Then that can flow into the associate's degree program. With a couple more classes, students can complete the transfer program and move on to UMass Amherst, where they have a logistics major. Mm-hmm. So you could get a job after the certificate, you could get a job after the associate's degree, or you could go on and get a bachelor's or even a master's degree in business logistics. And of course, the more education you have, the more you can earn.
Sure.
So people at the top end of the scale are earning, close to six figures, I would think.
Right, yeah, and just these are figures just for the Metro West area, or Worcester area, but I mean the median income for a logistician, which is a government term from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, median annual wage there is $67,000 or so, and it sort of goes up from there. And the good news about this industry is there's lots of good paying jobs. Again, the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that this field is going to grow by over 20% through the year 2022. So, a nice growth opportunity here in the field of logistics and they're good paying jobs.
Yeah, so a growth industry, QCC right here, the place to come for it as well. As we kind of wrap up with the last couple of minutes here, Gina, again, the number of people who come in and are able to take advantage of what's being offered here at QCC. Really coming from all over, sort of all walks of life. Some people may be coming back and making a change.
In our business career programs, we have an open enrollment policy. That means that there are no, besides having a high school diploma or GED, there are no admissions requirements. Now, students they have to take our placement test, and depending on where they place, but they can get on that ladder that will get them where they want to go. So a student can come in, take the placement test, sign up for classes. It's really just that simple. They should apply to admissions and financial aid and other services around the college, but we're not looking for SAT scores. We're not looking for particular grades in high school in our career programs. So students can just come in and get in on the ground floor of this great program.
Yeah, John, do you find among your students that it is, although you don't have to have any of these prerequisites, that people who are more interested in math, perhaps, I mean, is that?
It's a real variety. I tell you. I mean, some of my students. I've got a student who is currently working in the fast food industry as an assistant manager. So she's bringing that to the classroom. Again, I mentioned a young lady working in the insurance industry. I actually have a registered nurse in my program who just took the course to learn more about logistics, sort of as a fun elective. So it really does span the whole gamut of interest and why they're there. Our biggest challenge right now is just to sort of get the word out that this exists, because a lot of people just don't know about logistics, right? It's sort of that industry that's everywhere, but no one's really ever heard of it, right? So perhaps one of the reasons we're doing this today is to get the word out.
And I really have to say, I mean, for myself, I mean, it's really piqued my interest because of the way that you have described it, and the number of people and the variety of people who are in the classroom, and they're all bringing now this experience of the classroom back, this practical application that they're going to have at their jobs. But yeah, I mean, when you say logistics, I mean, I suppose if you're 18 years old, I want to take logistics. I mean, it might not sound that exciting. You start talking about, hey, here's what it is here's the real practical application. I think a lot of people can really understand that. I mean, it is one of those where you can really see and say, oh, wouldn't that be interesting to do that each day, to be able to, whether it's the warehouse application, the transportation, I mean, whatever it may be, whether it's working for the state or whether it's working in private industry or for a retailer, that you can really see yourself in that career. And as you said, a growth industry.
Right. Ton of variety, lots of different ways you can go.
Boy, I love it. Gene, I'm going to give you the last word. Just people want to get involved in this program. Really, not only is it the place to come, but it's really right now the place to kind of get in on the ground floor of this as well at QCC.
Absolutely.
How do they do that?
So they can fill out an online application. It should be probably applying to the business career program at this point, since the certificate is not up and running yet. They can apply to the business career program online, have their high school transcript sent to admissions or their GED, go into the advising center at the college here and take the placement test, and then sign up for classes.
Fantastic. Gene McLean, thank you so much for being here today. John Holton, take his class. Thank you so much for being here today as well. And as always, I'm Hank Stoltz, and thank you for joining us on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region with your host, Hank Stoltz. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.